Happy Saturday. Saturday, right? Is that the day? All right, yeah. Welcome to the DC Comics booth. My name is Blake. I'll be talking to a really great artist of ours. Thank you for that tepid reply there, man. This is Chad Hardin, artist of Harley Quinn, everybody. Give it up.
Hello, hello.
How's it going? How's your show, dude?
It's my show, all right.
Well, it's Oliver. It's a collective hour show.
Okay.
What are you gonna draw for us today?
Well, I figured I'd draw Plastic Man. No, we're gonna draw Harley. How about that?
Good. So let's start at the beginning. How did you get your start in the comics industry?
Well, I guess I started by just being a fan and reading books. I grew up in a great age where Watchmen and Dark Knight were hot on the shelves, and Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. So obviously a pretty big Batman fan from the start. And I worked construction growing up in Las Vegas, which is if you think it's hot here, at about 120 degrees of that, and so
that sounds really great.
Yeah,
sounds really relaxing.
I knew that I wouldn't be able to withstand the heat for an indefinite period of time, and this is back when guys like Jim Lee were ruling the earth, and so I paid a lot of attention to what they were doing, and just became obsessed with it, really.
Did you have any favorite artists growing up?
Yeah, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee. I basically grew up with that whole rock star crowd. Rob Liefeld, all those guys. So.
Yeah, it was a great time. Did you and any one of those guys particularly influential in your style or change how you did things?
Well, it was really funny. I've been coming to these conventions since 91, 92. And back then they told all of us to develop our own style, try not to copy anyone. And so I really worked hard on not looking at what other people were doing and just trying to develop my own thing. And so, but I've been told that I look like Craig Russell, that I look like Gil Kane, and those are artists I really admire, so I like those compliments. But I sort of also like the fact that no one really can sort of peg me down. I think that means I accomplished that goal of not looking quite like anybody else.
I was thinking about that this morning, who you remind me of, and the different styles. That it's a little bit of a manga style, but a little bit more of a straight superhero style.
Yeah.
So is there any? Did you read manga growing up, or?
I watched a lot of back when I was a kid. They called it Japanese cartoons, but today it's called anime.
Right.
And I watched a lot of Robotech, which is Macross, a lot of Speed Racer, a lot of Battle of the Planets. And so I loved that whole style. But when I came to San Diego and I talked to editors, they're like, you need to learn to draw from nature. You need to learn to draw naturally. And they said it's okay to have an influence, to have to have that style influence you. But they're like, you really need to learn the laws of anatomy and proportion and perspective, and so I've also spent a lot of time trying to educate myself with what I call the fundamentals of art. So design, composition, anatomy, color theory, things like that. So,
what was the hardest lesson you had to learn as a young artist?
Not to let people sort of. You have to have a very thick skin. Your friends and your parents and the people that you have close around you, they're always gonna be there to support you. I think some of the hardest things to do, though, as an artist when you're trying to get work, especially from a big publisher like DC, is that sometimes an editor is going to say something that maybe is not so kind, but it is constructive criticism. And you just have to be able to take that criticism and really learn and grow from it, and realize that they're trying to help you and not necessarily tear you down, but just try to make you a better artist. I think that's really important. And today there's a lot of people on the internet, on Facebook, that might not be so kind. You just got to ignore those people,
Right.
and just keep doing what you're doing. So,
What you talked about coming to San Diego and having editors talk about your work. When did you first come to this wonderful, spacious, cool convention center?
I came back when you could still buy tickets at the door. That's
It was really nice when you could do that, right?
Thank you. And so I believe my first show was in '91. I think I was 15. And I had my portfolio, and I got it really. I don't know if you guys know Eric Larson or not. He gave me a really, really strong critique.
Do you remember what it was?
Oh yeah, he just tore me apart.
You were 16 and Eric Larson tore you down?
Yeah, oh yeah. I think I went back to my hotel room and cried. Got away from everybody. I mean, it was pretty harsh. But you know what's funny though is I look back at that critique now, and he was absolutely 100% spot on. But it's hard for a 15-year-old to take that harsh criticism.
But you definitely outsell Savage Dragon now, so you got the last laugh, Chad.
No comment. Because Eric might hear that.
I'm sure it's fine. I'll just tell him I'm someone else.
Yeah, we're doing
all on
okay.
me. It's fine.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good with Harley. Absolutely.
Very cool. And so you're growing up. You're changing. How much has your style changed over the years?
Well, like I said, I started with a highly Japanese influenced style. I drew a lot like what I saw in Robotech, with the big exaggerated cartoon eyes, and so I really tried to dial it back. A lot of the critiques that I got from multiple editors was to learn how to draw from nature. So I really tried to use more reference, do more life drawing, learn environmental design, concept art. And you really have to, and here's the thing about comics, you can't just be good at drawing one thing. You have to be good at drawing everything, because you're drawing vehicles, you're drawing buildings, you're drawing, you got to be able to draw from imagination, because there's things like you're going to be asked to draw that don't exist.
So what's the hardest thing that you're having to draw? Like is it animals? Is it trees? What's your biggest bugaboo?
I don't really struggle with drawing anything, but backgrounds take a lot of time. They take a lot of time, and so I usually cheat really bad on my backgrounds. And if you notice in Harley, what I'll do is I'll take a photograph of buildings. I actually went out to New York, flew out to New York, took all these pictures of Brooklyn, of Coney Island, and just the downtown Manhattan. And then when I get in a pinch and I don't have time to draw the background, I'll take that photo and I'll just hit what's called threshold in Photoshop, and it turns it black and white, and I'll use that for my backgrounds.
So tip for all the kids is to get Photoshop and cheat.
Well, cheat when you get the job, but don't cheat don't cheat when you're learning.
Right. We're nice, big, successful artists like Chad, kids.
Yeah.
Then you can cheat.
Yeah. Well, because you do need to understand how things work. You do need to, because what if you're drawing a building you can't photograph? What if you're drawing, Brainiac's the spaceship, or some foreign planet? You're not going to be able to go gather reference for things like that. So you're going to have to know how to draw all that right out of your head. So drawing from imagination is going to be really important too.
So what's a normal day like for you? In terms of working, from when you get up to when you go to bed?
Oh, well, I usually, depending on when I went to sleep the night before, I usually wake up around probably about 9 o'clock and do the whole morning ritual. I'm usually in my studio drawing by 10, and I'll take a break for dinner. spend some time with the kids. I do a lot of multitasking. Like I'll look at my emails when I go on a walk instead of looking at emails at my desk. You have to be very good about time management when you're an artist. And then I really just sort of draw until I fall asleep drawing. I mean, when I start inking and I fall asleep and the ink goes right across your drawing, that's when it's time to go to bed.
Oh yeah.
And then you just sort of get up and repeat. So, yeah, you really have to love drawing.
Yeah.
If you want
How many hours a day are you drawing, realistically?
Probably 10.
Ah,
Probably 10. So.
that's how long I'm in the office, man. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
But I mean, the cool thing is though, is like you're getting paid to draw, and that's a pretty cool thing. Yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. So, it's not like you're, like I said, digging a ditch in 117 degrees in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Right.
So, not that there's anything wrong with that. Okay.
Or passing out comics to a bunch of people you never met.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. My father did it. He loved it. My brothers still do it. My grandfather did it. It just wasn't for me. So there's nothing wrong with good, honest, hard labor.
Yeah.
But I prefer drawing Harley Quinn.
So in terms of Harley Quinn, you're working with two artists who have
Yes.
moved on to become writers. So you're working with Jimmy Palmiotti, who's a great artist in his own right. Then Amanda Connor is probably
Yes.
one of the best artists working in the industry today.
Right.
How does your collaborative process work with these two really, really visual people?
Well, it's nice because they don't let me get away with anything. Like I said, I'll try and cheat every opportunity I can get. And they won't let me pull any punches like that. So they keep me honest, number one. And then number two, if I ever get in a jam, they're really great. They can say, hey, why don't you try this? Do that. This looks a little wonky. So it's nice to have a team that they can give you feedback. But they also sort of relish in the fact that they don't have to draw it. So
Yeah.
they love throwing me curveballs. So that's pretty fun too.
Do you remember what the last time, or I guess the time where you looked at a script and said, what am I going to do with that?
It usually involves like large crowds or tons of shrapnel or you
Right.
know.
It's not talking beavers or anything like
no,
that?
No, the talking beavers are fine.
Oh, okay.
The beavers are fine. The animals are fine. I love drawing animals. That's just a plus about working on this book. But it's the tedious little things. It's the scales on armor. It's the hordes, storming the castle. It's the million bullets and the million shells, flying out of a gun, or just things like that. I mean, even cross hatching, when you have to cross hatch, it's just that's not very fun to do. So those are the parts that I would skip. I talked to Babs today, and she's like, "I have an intern for that." I was like, "I need an intern."
Yeah,
Who wants to intern? Raise your hand.
Anybody? You want to intern?
So.
No? Do you even know what an intern is? He doesn't know what an
It
intern
means
is.
I'm going to make you work, and I'm not going to pay you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, he's out.
Yeah, he's out. Yeah.
So Harley's a book that there's a lot of humor and a lot of very expressive facial expressions. How do you see those coming about? Do you get a lot of notes from Jimmy and Amanda?
They usually. I don't think they give me any notes more than just a normal script. I just really sort of love to draw. I mean, the face and the eyes, that's the key to drawing good expression. And then after you get done with the face and the eyes, it's the hands. And so I just really focus on doing the gestures and the body language with the eyes, the face, and the hands. And that all sort of seems to fall into place. Whenever you're drawing, you got to remember that you're drawing your characters and they're acting at the same time, okay? So in movie terms, you're a little bit like the director. And when you're doing comics, on film, overacting is a bad thing. Nobody wants to go see someone, pull pull a scene where it's too hammy. But in comics, you do sort of want to overact. You want that exaggeration because there is no movement, there is no, there is no dialogue. And so anytime you can sort of just push the extremes with your facial expressions, your hand gestures, do some stuff that really can't be done in nature, then it turns out to capture that moment better than had you just drawn someone with a normal reaction. Or if you just, you can always sort of spot the guys that use a little too much reference because, if they're working off of a photograph, they can't really push that exaggeration.
Of course, yeah.
So
how much photo reference do you use, or what do you use it for, besides buildings and actual places?
Generally I try to get along without it unless I need to, because it can slow you down. If I know how to draw it without reference, I just go ahead and I draw it. Usually I break out the reference when, a lot of people will say, well, what do you do when you have artist block? And I think that's what a lot of artist block is that you don't know how to draw that thing. And that's when you break out the camera. That's when you pose in the mirror, or you get your kids to, be Harley Quinn. I have 3 daughters and one son, and so they do a lot of posing for Harley, and my wife has been various bad guys and superheroines. Back when I was in better shape, I used to pose myself. Getting a little fluffy for that right now, but it happens to all of us, right, as we get older. But yeah, and I generally try and just work through it if I can. But if I get stuck, if I'm getting slow or I'm redrawing something, then it's time to break out some of those tools that help you just keep moving along.
So what do you like drawing most?
When I was a kid, I loved drawing robots and spaceships. I think certain science fiction franchises had a lot to do with that. And I don't get to do that at all right now.
I've seen you throw in a robot or two.
Yeah.
There's been some gratuitous robot shots.
Yeah, I like that they have Aggie in there. In issue 29, we did Harleytron, or Harley's giant robot. That was a lot of fun, but at the same time, boy, that was a lot of work too. So
I bet.
Yeah.
So this is an immensely popular book. It's one of the best-selling books that we have. So why do you think it connects with people so much? And what about the art connects with people, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. Hey, guys, what do you think?
What do you think?
With that cover, I just love the different take. It's definitely more animated. It definitely looks more like it doesn't look so linear. It's definitely more animated.
More linear, more animated.
So, especially because his artwork definitely has that like Japanese
Yeah, a lot of different styles, a lot of Japanese influence.
And it's also true to form. It's not like awkward. It's not awkward.
Sure.
It's very fluid. I love it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I hear that a lot. That basically we're a book that takes ourselves a little cartoony. I think there's a lot of Mad Magazine influence. There's a lot of Looney Tune influence. There's a lot of Teen Titan Go influence. And so we just sort of, we have fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We try not to stress out. We try and just keep the jokes flowing. And even our emails are pretty. One of these days, I would love to just publish all the emails in between some of these titles, because that's where a lot of the good jokes just sort of go to die.
I think some of them need to be kept
Yeah.
on the internet.
Yeah.
And not put on paper.
Yeah. Special edition. TMZ, But we do have a lot of fun. We work hard, we play hard. And I think a lot of that just sort of shines out in the book. I think it comes out in the book. So it's a good thing.
It's beautiful. So there's we're at Comic-Con. I'm sure there's a lot of young, aspiring artists out there. Is there any tips, any hints, any things that you've learned from good or bad along the way that you'd like to tell everybody about?
Yeah, you guys are sort of living in an age where funding for art education is really being sidelined for, math and science, which, we need math and science, don't get me wrong. But my advice to you is if you want to be an artist, you're really going to have to sort of go against, my parents wanted me to be a lawyer. They sent me to college to be a lawyer. So imagine the disappointment. But you know what? I pulled it off. So if you're, number one, you got to be passionate. You got to make sure it's what you want to do. And then number two, you just got to draw all the time. I got sent to detention because I would draw rather than, take notes in class. And so the thing is it's okay to go to detention if you're drawing. I know there's parents right now in the crowd.
DC Comics does not endorse going to detention.
Teachers.
This is Chad Hardin entirely.
But just draw all the time. And I was drawing in history. I was drawing in math. My parents, when they grounded me, I'd go to my room and draw. So I was never really grounded. I was never really in detention. I read a book called Outliers that I really enjoy, and it basically says that if you want to master something, you have to put in 10,000 hours of work. And if you start at like 4 or 5 years old, then by the time you're 15, if you draw 3 hours a day, you'll have 10,000 hours. And I think that's a really, really good piece of advice, because I was not someone, there's a lot of people that come up to me and they're like, oh, you're really talented. I was like, well, okay, yeah, maybe, but I've also spent my entire life doing this. And I don't really think that there are too many shortcuts. I think if, you want to be an artist, you have to be drawing all the time. And so, if your kid has if you're a person that has a natural inclination, that you're really passionate about art, you got to understand that you're gonna do a lot of struggling financially. I know that I struggled financially for a long time trying to support myself, but once you sort of break through, it gets a lot easier. And there's no way to break through unless you're really good. There's a ton of mediocre artists out there. There's a ton of people. You're competing in a global market. You're competing with artists all over the world. And the only way to ensure that you're going to get a job from a publisher like DC is that your talent is undeniably good. Okay, they have to look at your art and just be like, that that is so good. I don't care what we got to pay him. Let's get him on this book. Let's get him on that project. And there's no shortcut for that. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of sweat. It's a lot of tears. But if that's what you want to do, that's what you got to put in. And it helps if you're a giant. For me, it helps if you're a giant comic book nerd, because this is basically all I ever wanted to do. So I have a lot of students who are like, well, I would like to get into comics. And I'm like, oh, really? What comics do you read? And they're like, well, I don't read comics at all. I'm like, well, why do you want to get into comics? And they're like, because you get to draw. And I'm like, okay, well, just make sure that you know what you're getting into, because it's a lot of time spent at a desk, and you're drawing all the time. So, but it is funny though. Like, even when I have time off, I'll go and I'll draw, and it's pretty much all I do.
I think it's time off right now, and you're drawing.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't help it.
Yeah, but it's Michael J. Fox once said that art is not a means to an end; it's a means to a mean. And I think that's sort of what it has to be with artists. You have to be passionate about it. It has to be what you're going to be doing no matter what. And that's the type of person it takes to really be successful at it. So, and I do think that there needs to be more education in schools, and unfortunately, a lot of those programs get cut. So, make sure that if your child does have an aptitude that you be, you be supportive. So, and sometimes that's not easy as a parent, because you're like, oh, how are they going to make money? How are they going to do this? And you know what? The thing is you got to think about their happiness. You got to think about what they want to do. Because I have a lot of friends who went on to law school, and they make a lot of money, but they also have to sue little old ladies out of their pension. And I just don't think I have the heart for something like that. Yeah. So I'd much rather draw something that makes people laugh and brings happiness. And
do you remember what your first break was at DC, or
yes.
how it
yes.
happened?
Yes, I do. It was really funny. I'd come to San Diego. I dropped off my portfolio at the portfolio review, and I'd gotten a lot of editors interested in my work, so they called me in to this big giant room, and they all proceeded to basically do what Eric Larson did. And by the time I got done, I had a whole bunch of business cards from guys like Joey Cavallari, Richard Bruning, and so what I did is, once I got their business card, every time I drew something new, I just sent them a sample, every time.
Yeah. And
it took 1 year of constantly sending samples. And I got a phone call one day from Joey Cavallari, and he says, my artist was in a car wreck. He broke his arm. I need someone to fill in right now. I got a 22-page story and I got a 6-page story. Which one do you want? And I said, I want them both. So, and then I worked for Joey for like 7 years straight on his books at DC. So, I guess that's another good tip, is when that time comes, you don't ever say no. You just you jump in with both feet, and you don't stop, you don't look back, you just keep going. Because I know a lot of people that they'll have an editor to call them, and they're like, well, I'm going on vacation this month. Well, you want that vacation more than you want a career in comics. So make sure that when that opportunity comes, that you don't let it pass you by. You jump on it, and you run with the football, so to speak, until you're in the end zone. So, yeah. But yeah, that's how that went.
So we're running a little short on time, but do you have any parting comments for this beautiful crowd?
You know what, thank you. How about that? Thank you very much for supporting the book, for being here. People ask me all the time, how is this possible? And it's just not possible without the fans. Your support has been amazing. Every time we hear news about Harley and how well it's doing, I'm blown away by your support, and thank you. Thank you for being a patron of the arts. So
awesome. Well, let's give it up for Chad Hardin, everybody.
All right.
Because he finishes up this beautiful piece of artwork.
I'll put the smack dab on it. Are we gonna do like a trivia contest?
Yeah, let's do a. Do you have any questions? Any favorite trivia questions for yourself?
Favorite trivia. Okay, what type of dog is Nathan, Harley's sidekick?
Type of dog. No, not what type of god. What type of dog?
The god of chaos.
English bulldog?
No, that's. Dachshund. Who said it? All right. All right. There,
cool.
That's correct.
You're the proud winner of this amazing piece of artwork.
This lovely little sketch. Let me just finish it up for you. We don't have anything else going on the stage, do we?
No. This is it. No more movie stars.
Yeah, no more movie stars.
Sorry.
If you guys would have been here earlier, it'd have been Jared Leto. You got me.
Same amount of handsome. It's fine.
All right. I think we're done. So, okay. I'll sign it, and then we'll sign off. All right.
Awesome.
There you go.
Let's give it up for Chad Hardin, everybody.
Thank you, guys. South.